Puzzle piece: the enemy hiding in your pantry. Have you ever wondered why we're sicker, more fatigued, and more inflamed than ever, even with so many healthy options on the shelves? There's a silent ingredient hiding in most modern foods. It's in sugar-free cookies, gluten-free shakes, fitness bars, and even baby formula. It's sold as safe, approved by regulatory agencies, and has been used on an industrial scale for decades. But the truth is, it doesn't nourish, strengthen, or sustain you. It only deceives your body, slowly dismantling its internal balance. Today, you'll understand why this ingredient is known as the most dangerous carbohydrate in the world. Not because it's sweet, but because it's disguised. The villain disguised as food. Our bodies have been programmed over millions of years to recognize real food, whole grains, roots, fruits, and vegetables. But in recent decades, the food industry has learned to dismantle those natural structures, strip away what's harder to digest, fiber, healthy fats, minerals, and rebuild them in laboratories with identical taste, texture, and appearance. The result? A carbohydrate that looks harmless, but acts as a metabolic saboteur. This kind of carbohydrate isn't made by nature. It's just born from a chemical process that breaks natural starch into unstable fragments, glucose chains so fragile they turn into pure sugar within minutes inside your body. So, you may think you're avoiding sugar, but you're still feeding the same cycle of inflammation, cravings, and weight gain. The invisible cycle: when this modified starch reaches your gut, it's absorbed almost instantly. Your pancreas reacts by flooding your system with insulin to contain the glucose spike. For a few minutes, you feel energy, focus, even a false sense of fullness. But soon after comes the crash. Insulin clears glucose from your blood so efficiently that your brain quickly interprets it as fuel deprivation. The result is hunger, not because your body needs food, but because it was tricked. This cycle can repeat dozens of times a day: breakfast with fit cereal, a sugar-free snack bar, lunch with pre-made sauces, afternoon coffee with gluten-free bread. Each one adds a small dose of industrial starch that your body converts into glucose as fast as if you had eaten pure sugar. The difference is that now you believe you're making a healthy choice. The modern paradox: the same products that promise clean energy, light digestion, and low calories are, in reality, fuel for chronic inflammation. Studies show that diets rich in refined carbohydrates elevate inflammatory markers, increase insulin resistance, and accelerate cellular aging. But there's something even more troubling: these carbohydrates don't just feed the human body, they feed the wrong colonies of bacteria in your gut. In a healthy gut, beneficial bacteria thrive on natural fibers and plant polyphenol. But when all that arrives is a flood of quick glucose and degraded starch, opportunistic species, the ones linked to obesity, depression, and low immunity, start to multiply. In other words, this modern food doesn't just alter your metabolism, it rewires your internal ecosystem. Why it's so cheap and so profitable? This carbohydrate shouldn't even be called an ingredient, it's economic engineering. It costs just a few cents per pound, replaces real ingredients, and inflates product volume. It doesn't feed you, it fills you up. It's the perfect trick: lower costs, extend shelf life, and create biological dependency in consumers. Manufacturers know the body reacts with immediate pleasure to a glucose spike. Every bite triggers dopamine, the same chemical mechanism behind addiction. Your brain associates that product with comfort and reward, making you crave it again, even if you don't know why. The problem is, while the brain feels rewarded, the body is punished. The liver accumulates fat, arteries inflame, LDL cholesterol oxidizes, and the immune system stays on constant alert. It's no coincidence that rates of type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and metabolic syndrome are at record highs, even among people who don't eat sugar. An imposter inside your kitchen. Here's the part most people overlook: you probably have this ingredient in your kitchen right now. It hides on labels under names like modified starch, maltodextrin, corn starch, food thickener, or vegetable gum. It's in whole-grained bread, instant soups, ready-made seasonings, sauces, and sports drinks. Even in baby formula. And ironically, many athletes and fitness enthusiasts use this starch thinking they're consuming a quick, efficient source of energy, when in reality, they're overloading their pancreas and damaging insulin sensitivity. That sugar-free doesn't mean free from blood sugar impact. In many cases, the sugar has simply been replaced by industrial starches that behave exactly the same way in your bloodstream. Your body doesn't care whether glucose comes from white sugar, corn syrup, or maltodextrin. The metabolic outcome is identical: spikes in blood sugar, fat storage, and systemic inflammation. The difference is that now, instead of recognizing the danger, you consume it with a clear conscience, and that's precisely what makes this carbohydrate the most dangerous in the world. The invisible price your body pays: you don't taste it. You don't see it in the mirror on the first day. But with every spoonful of industrial starch, something inside you changes, slowly, silently, and almost imperceptibly. The human body was designed to handle occasional glucose spikes. The problem is that now, those spikes happen all the time. 3 meals, 2 snacks, 1 energy drink, a ready-made sauce, and just like that, you've spent the whole day bathed in insulin. And when insulin becomes a constant visitor, it stops being an ally. It turns into the trigger of an inflammatory cascade that silently reshapes your metabolism. When sugar doesn't come from sugar, an overwhelmed pancreas begins to lose precision. It releases excess insulin, trying to control the chaos created by that disguised carbohydrate. Over time, cells start to resist its signal, as if they're tired of hearing the same alarm day after day. That's the beginning of insulin resistance. This resistance is the prologue to a series of conditions we often only notice when it's too late. Visceral fat accumulation, compressing the liver and inflaming the abdomen, fatty liver disease, progressing quietly until liver function is impaired, dyslipidemia, when bad cholesterol oxidizes and forms arterial plaques, brain fog and fatigue, from glucose crashes following the spikes. And most dangerous of all, chronic systemic inflammation, the background condition behind nearly every modern degenerative disease. The trap begins in the gut. Few people realize it, but the gut is the first organ to respond to the quality of the carbohydrates we eat. Modified starches feed the wrong bacteria, the ones linked to obesity, anxiety, and immune imbalance. These colonies release toxins that irritate the intestinal wall, creating tiny microscopic leaks known as leaky gut. Through these openings, food particles and toxins enter the bloodstream, keeping the immune system on constant alert. And a body that's always on alert can't heal, regenerate, or balance its hormones. You might think you're just bloated or retaining water, but inside, your immune system is fighting a silent civil war. The brain pays the price. Too frequent consumption of ultra-processed carbohydrates alters insulin sensitivity in the brain. Research shows this reduces learning and memory capacity and is linked to the formation of beta-amyloid plaques, associated with Alzheimer's disease. That's why many experts now call it type 3 diabetes. Instead of operating steadily, your brain swings between euphoria, glucose spikes, and sluggishness, crashes. These fluctuations drain neurotransmitters, fueling anxiety, irritability, and food cravings. It's a perfect vicious cycle. You eat to feel better, and feel worse because you ate. The illusion of strength and performance. Perhaps the industry's most seductive argument is fast energy. Athletes, fitness influencers, even trainers promote these carbs as an immediate energy source. But what they don't say is that the energy you get is unstable and costly to your body. Every glucose spike followed by a sharp drop produces oxidative stress, the same type of cellular damage that accelerates aging and weakens muscles, joints, and immunity. The result is a body that looks active on the outside but is inflamed on the inside. True performance doesn't come from how fast you burn glucose, but from how efficiently your body uses energy. And a body fueled by industrial starches never reaches that efficiency. It's always chasing a fuel that evaporates. How to escape the trap? The first step is learning to spot the disguises. Read labels, and be wary of anything listing modified starch, maltodextrin, corn starch, dextrose, thickeners or stabilizers, or complex carbohydrates, without a clear source. The second step is to replace volume with value. Eat fewer products and more foods. Choose cooked root vegetables, whole fruits, fibrous greens, and minimally processed grains. These foods release glucose slowly, maintaining steady energy and reducing insulin demand. The third step is to retrain your palate. Your body needs 15 to 30 days to break free from fast glucose dependency. During that time, you may feel hungrier, irritable, or tired, but that discomfort is a sign your metabolism is resetting itself. And finally, return to your kitchen. The kitchen is the most powerful lab in existence. Every homemade meal made from real ingredients is a way to hack the system that profits from keeping you inflamed and dependent. What the industry doesn't want you to know. The food industry's goal has never been your health, it's been your return on investment. Every improved formula is simply a cheaper, more addictive version of the same product. And the more predictable the consumer becomes, the more vulnerable they are. The good news is, you can break this cycle. By choosing real foods, you reduce inflammation, restore insulin sensitivity, and give your body back control over hunger, mood, and weight. And for the first time in years, you may feel what real energy truly is, the kind that comes from harmony between what your body receives and what it actually needs. The turning point. The most dangerous carbohydrate in the world isn't dangerous just for what it does, but for what it prevents your body from doing, healing, balancing, and thriving. This isn't just about diet, it's about awareness. Every meal is a vote, for health or for convenience. And now that you know the truth about the enemy hiding in your pantry, there's only one question left. Will you keep feeding it, or start feeding yourself?